What did you see from Dillon, in this preseason? And then, did he show you, obviously he showed you some things, but what was it that he showed you? And, did it say enough about why the Browns would draft him in the third round, and maybe silence some of the critics that, have questioned that pick?
I thought you saw a lot of follow through from what they saw on tape in college and for the things that got them excited to make him their third round pick, because you saw a quick release. He was going through his progressions and his reads very quickly. He was comfortable in the pocket. He made good decisions on when to stay in the pocket, when to try to escape. And he was very accurate overall. He made some bad throws at times, it happens to every quarterback, not just rookies. But overall, the vast majority of his reps, he was throwing the ball on time, on the money to the right guy accurately, and he was making really good decisions. I'll say in the first start when we saw him against Philadelphia, he had two bad decisions. One was on a handoff, which a veteran quarterback doesn't make those mistakes, right? But when you're a rookie, you've got a lot of things on your plate, and you just take a wrong angle when you're turning around on an outside zone, and you don't get the ball to the running back, and the ball goes on the ground, and it's a turnover, which is a huge play in a game. You can't have that, but those are rookie mistakes that do show up. And then when he had two right receivers running the wrong route, he was booting to his left, and he threw that interception. He had two receivers that got bunched together. They gave up on their routes, and he still tried to force it in there rather than just throwing it away. And so just making those decisions and learning when to give up and throw the ball out of bounds and live to play another down, I think those are important growth parts. And we saw that growth then when we got to see Dillon Gabriel in his second start. I think the one thing that I noticed again is he's going to continue to have to learn how to overcome the height issue, because there was one time in the game where it looked like it was an overthrow, but the ball got tipped at the line of scrimmage. And so for him, just learning to understand, like, there's times when I can't throw the ball with a laser trajectory. I've got to loft it, and I've got to throw it a little bit earlier, because one, these linemen are a lot taller. They know that I'm a short quarterback and I'm going to get my hands up. They're going to try to push the pocket on him. They're going to try to collapse the pocket and cloudy his vision down the field. And so I think he's shown that he's a smart enough quarterback that he'll be able to adapt to that. And it gives you the green light to be like, you know what? He's not a finished product, but he's making progress at the speed that we wanted. And so we feel really good about where he is right now.
Yeah, I think that 2-minute drive on Saturday against the Rams, I mean, I know it was a bunch of Rams players that probably aren't on the roster anymore and all that kind of stuff, but you saw the execution of the offense, I think, the way Kevin Stefanski wants it done. And he just came out, he hit his marks, and the competent quarterback play out of him on Saturday, especially in that 2-minute drive, I thought was very encouraging.
I loved seeing it. And my favorite part about that 2-minute drive is right before it, he had a couple poor throws.
Yeah.
And you could see that sometimes rookies, they've had so much success in college and they've been the hero everywhere they've gone. And for Dillon Gabriel, he played, 6 years in college. So he had a ton of success. He was a hero at multiple programs. And if you have a bad play or a couple in a row in the NFL, it's easy to go in the tank, because a lot of times you've never experienced what that's like on a game day of having poor performance. And so for him to be able to bounce back, show that resiliency and that poise, and go out in a 2-minute situation, which is the hardest situation you find yourself in as a quarterback in the NFL, and go right down the field, be decisive in his decision-making, and continue to have confidence in his ability. That was the biggest thing I was pumped about with him. And I think that was, to me, the biggest takeaway that I'll have with reflecting on his preseason was his resiliency, his poise, and being able to continue to be the same guy and be able to forget a bad play that happened before.
I could be wrong too, but I believe in the Philly game, he had the turnover and then he turned around and came right back down the field. I can't remember if it was just a field goal or if it was a touchdown, but I believe
it was a field goal, wasn't it?
Okay. I wanted to say that he had, a bad turnover and came, same kind of thing. I had the message coming out of the game, like, no big deal, resilient, come right back out.
Now, if we want to switch over to Shedeur, on the negative side, I feel like letting bad plays compound and get the best of you, I think that's kind of what happened to Shadore in that second half. And maybe we'll start there, but then I do want to get your takeaways from Shadore Sanders after the Carolina game. But let's talk about this Rams game real quick.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, the things that made Shedeur drop in the draft were he takes too many sacks, he drifts in the pocket, he's not comfortable stepping up into the pocket and making quick decisions and reading the defense. The first time we saw him against Carolina, he was money. He was lights out, and it was awesome watching that decision-making process of, hey, when should I scramble? And once he does scramble, he's not fast, but he does have good short area quickness where can he make little moves and make guys miss and then get his eyes back down the field to find his receivers. And so we saw that in his first time when he was out there against Carolina, and we were really excited about it. But then we did see sort of the college Shedeur a little bit in the game against the Rams, where right off the bat, he's dropping too deep. And instead of stepping up as he's going through his progressions, he tries to drift and then escape the pocket from the backside, which is never good, especially because now all of a sudden in the NFL, these dudes have been watching you on tape. They get the scouting report. They know who you are. And if you can't make those adjustments on the fly and you just keep going back to the same well over and over again, you're going to just keep getting the same result. And that's what we saw. Like, as soon as he lost confidence in his protection because he was getting hit, now all of a sudden he just continues to drop deeper and deeper and deeper, which is just compounding the problem, because now those defensive ends, instead of rushing the spot 7.5, 8 yards deep where most quarterbacks set up in the pocket, now they're just running as fast and as far around the tackles as they possibly can, because they know, hey, if I run to a spot 11 yards deep, that's where he's going to be. And as a tackle, I hated that because I knew there was almost nothing I could do, because I have to really overset and bail to be able to block for a spot that's beyond 10 yards deep. And when I do that, now I'm exposing myself to the bull rush. I'm exposing myself to the quick inside move, which you can't do any of those things. So you're going to continue to block for your spot. And it's just one of those things where it snowballed. It didn't get any better. He went to the sideline. He got frustrated, and he wasn't able to self-correct in the moment, and he let the frustration get the best of him, which I think that was the most disappointing part of that entire preseason game. Yeah, I saw that at one point in the Carolina game as well. He got sacked, and I think it was Sal Cannella. I don't know if he didn't run the right route or something, but it was third down play, gets sacked, and he took his helmet off on the field, and he's yelling at the receiver for not doing something right or whatever. And Tommy Reese on the broadcast is behind him saying, "You can't take your helmet off." Like, and it's just, you got to be able to control those emotions and be that leader on the field. And, I think Saturday, I know there's people out there that will support Shedeur no matter what, and he can do no wrong. But if you want to be, honestly critical about it, we saw on the field why Dillon Gabriel has been ahead of Shadore Sanders. And that's what we've been asking the entire preseason, is reports out of camp kind of have it the other way. Show us on the field why, Gabriel is so far ahead, if he is, of Shedeur. And I think we definitely saw it, like, clearly. Yeah, no doubt. There's more to being a quarterback than in 7-on-7, standing in the pocket and delivering the ball beautifully, accurately, which Shedeur always does, to the right guy. And then all of a sudden, when you have to deal with a pass rush, you have to deal with complex checks at the line of scrimmage. And so you're thinking about a million different things. Like, to be able to operate and do things consistently well enough to give everybody else, the other 10 guys on offense, an opportunity, like, that's how coaches are grading the guys. And so I think when you look at a training camp review, it's more about what is his potential. Can he throw accurately? Can he make those decisions? And then in that case, like, Shedeur probably has a higher ceiling. I think that's what is something everybody would agree on. But who's the most ready right now to step into an NFL game and help this team the best? And I think that's pretty clearly Dillon Gabriel. Yeah, I agree. I think those bad habits from college just, they were there a little bit maybe against Carolina, but Shedeur overcame and, like you said, played lights out, but you really saw those habits were still there very strongly against the Rams. Yeah, and Shedeur's a great playmaker, and I think that's the thing you get the most excited about, right? He's a guy that plays his best in big moments, and he can find the tight window when things are breaking down, and so you want to be able to allow him to get to those moments. But if you just continue to have bad habits and you're drifting in the pocket and you're losing confidence in your protection and your receivers, like, those things compound, and then you're never able to show your skills as a playmaker and show who you can be when you get out there. So it's just going to take some time for him to break some of those bad habits and get more comfortable doing the things that the Browns are asking him within this offense.